A.M.M.Naoshaad அவர்கள்.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Deputy Chairman of Committees, let me first wish the new Deputy Secretary General, Mr. Jayaratna, all the best in his new position. Now, every time we get up to debate the extension of the emergency, what concerns us the most is the use of these emergency regulations and the effect that these regulations have on human security. If I may state that the term human security can be traced back to the establishment of the United Nations in 1945 and draws on the views of the then US Secretary of State, Edward R. Stennis Jr., who said, "The battle for peace has to be fought on two fronts. The first is the security front, where victory spells freedom from fear. The second is the economic and social front, where victory means freedom from want. Only victory on both fronts can assure the world of enduring peace. No provisions that can be written into the Charter will enable the Security Council to make the world secure from war if men and women have no security in their homes and their jobs." Now, this was said way back in 1945. So today, it is still relevant as far as we are concerned. Today, we are fighting for freedom from fear. Today, this emergency extension is sought to give freedom to our people from fear. But are we free from fear? For 30 years, we have waged a war, and the result is that we all live in fear. Whether we live in cleared areas or uncleared areas, the freedom from fear is not prevalent in this country. We have episodes of white van abductions. We have disappearances. We have searches being carried out in almost every part of this country. And I was told that last week there was a search in the Saranankara area of Dehiwala, where young officers who searched those properties for a moment confiscated the mobile telephones of the occupants, walked out, and came back in and surrendered the mobile phones. And some of them, when they had checked that all these mobile phones they had originated a call to a particular number. I don't want to disclose that number because it may have an impact on security. But the fact is that when a search is made, a private phone, which is the property of that individual, and for which that individual is responsible for every call that originates from that phone or received into that phone, is misused and given back even without an explanation. Now, this puts fear into people. They don't know what's happening. So if we continue to live in fear, what is the point of waging this war? When do we get freed from this fear? How long can we go on? We talk so much about clearing the East. The Venerable Metananda Thera, who spoke before me, said that we seem to forget the historic deeds of our heroic soldiers. We haven't forgotten. But what is more important is what has that freedom brought us? We have freed the East. For whom? And what's happening there? We need to look at all what we are doing under the guise of conducting a war to realistically see whether there is anything that we have achieved by this war. Way back in 2007, we announced that the LTTE's strength was around 5,000 cadres. In 2008, we announced that we have eliminated over 9,000 LTTE cadres, and that the LTTE still has around 4,500 cadres. So that means if we add the 9,000 and the 4,500, the LTTE had around 13,500 cadres in 2008 compared to the 5,000 they had in 2007. Now we all know that the birth rate among the Tamil community, especially in the north, is the lowest in this country. We know that the Tamils have lost a few generations due to this war. Right? So I beg to know how the cadres of the LTTE could have multiplied from 5,000 to 13,500 in 12 calendar months. Now, if this is the war we are conducting, a war of words, a war of propaganda, a war of statistics, this is not going to take us anywhere. The next thing that affects us by the extension of this emergency and the conduct of the war is the freedom from want. Now, what do we have to say on this front? We all know that inflation is high throughout the world. We all know what the oil crisis is doing to the economies around this world. But are these the only reasons that have now prevented us from giving our people freedom from want? I am sure if we look at things pragmatically, the abductions, some of the abductions that are taking place may be by criminal elements. But why do they do this? Because they have want. They have no other means of making ends meet. So, under the guise of the abductions that are taking place with, if I may say, state patronage, they also are making their money. Then we look at the wastage of funds through tamashas, the loss of jobs through the impact on the garment industry, what would come, the impact that would come by the loss of the GSP plus. And the resulting loss of employment, it is natural. It is natural that the people at one stage will decide to rebel against a prevalent government. Now that should not be turned towards an unpatriotic deed by saying that when the people rise up against the suppression and fight for their freedom from fear and for their freedom from want, that they are not being unpatriotic. So therefore, I would ask the government to rethink this strategy of the war, and would like to end by saying that if you thought what you thought, did what you did, you will get what you got. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Garu